Every week, Marjorie Taylor Greene somehow finds a way to prove to the American people that she is the dimmest member of Congress. This time, she made a little bit of a mistake when trying to fearmonger about Democrats and how they're allegedly spying on Republican members of Congress. Let's hear what she had to say.
Not only do we have the DC jail, which is the DC gulag, but now we have Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police spying on members of Congress, spying on the legislative work that we do, spying on our staff, and spying on American citizens that want to come talk to their representatives. This government has turned into something it was never meant to be, and it's time to make it end.
Listen, I actually think she's drawing attention to a very real problem in this country, a grave concern. Have you ever had gazpacho that isn't cold enough? Lukewarm gazpacho?
No.
You can't eat it.
No soup for you.
No soup for you.
Or in this case, no coup for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm generally not in favor of cold soup, except Turkish cucumber yogurt soup.
Oh yeah, that is actually very good.
It is good. No, look, guys, it's fun to make fun of her because she doesn't know what she's doing. In fact, she stole my line that she's going to do in her own tweet that she did to kind of deflect here. But overall, the smallest problem I have with Marjorie Taylor Greene is mixing up the words. The ideas and the concepts and the attack on democracy is 10,000 times worse. So as we have fun with the story and everybody has fun with it, because you can't not have fun with it. She said gazpacho, right?
Yeah, and of course she meant to say Gestapo.
Yeah, of course, right? But I'm afraid that sometimes people misinterpret it as talking down to them as opposed to talking down to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's trying to abuse her power. If she was using that power for you guys, she can say gazpacho all day long, right? But she's just using it for her own benefit and the benefit of the rich and the powerful.
So I thought it was worth discussing like what she's even talking about, right? Like, did something happen to spark this, or is she just making something up completely out of whole cloth? Well, it has to do with an accusation that was put out this week by a Republican member of Congress, Troy Nehls, who believed that Capitol Police were spying on him, possibly with the help of Democrats. Let me give you a little taste of his tweets on this. He said, on November 20th, 2021, Capitol Police entered my office without my knowledge and photographed confidential legislative products protected by the speech and debate clause enshrined in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 6. Fascinating, what happened? Well, he says 2 days later, on Monday, November 22nd, Thanksgiving week, 3 intelligence officers attempted to enter my office while the House was in recess. Now, later he says, upon discovering a member of my staff, special agents dressed like construction workers began to question him as to the contents of a photograph taken illegally 2 days earlier. And he's referring to the photograph that was taken by Capitol Police earlier, right? And he continues to say that the Capitol Police never informed him or his staff of their investigation, and says that Capitol Police leadership is engaging in this like malicious investigation in an attempt to destroy him and his character. So I dismissed this Twitter thread immediately because I'm like, either this didn't happen, or if it did happen, there's a reasonable explanation. And guess what? There was a reasonable explanation, but before he realized there was one, he of course needed to take a few jabs at Nancy Pelosi. Maybe it is because I have been a vocal critic of Speaker Pelosi and the January 6th committee and Capitol Police leadership about their handling of January 6th, the death of Ashley Babbitt and the subsequent sham investigation. Okay, so very classy guy. Turns out that Capitol Police did investigate because he made a big mistake. He left his office open and left. And when that happens, it leads to a security concern because you have, confidential or you have private documents in that office, right? So as a result, Capitol Police have to investigate that. So if a member's office is left open and unsecured without anyone inside the office, USCP officers are directed to document that and secure the office to ensure nobody can wander in and steal or do anything else nefarious. The weekend before Thanksgiving, one of our vigilant officers spotted the congressman's door was wide open. And guess what? What they found in the office alarmed them. The officer filed a report raising concerns about the contents of the whiteboard, which included mentions of body armor and a poorly drawn map of the Rayburn House office building, which is also part of the Capitol complex, and had an X at one of the building's entrances. So they, of course, had to investigate that. They were concerned that, here's a Republican member of Congress who's been very critical of this investigation into January 6th. Are there more plans moving forward to attack the Capitol? And once Nels was questioned about the whiteboard, he explained that the writing on the board, which included reports of faulty Chinese-made body armor, was related to legislation his office was working on, while the map of the Rayburn building, which Nels said looked like it was done by my 9-year-old, was drawn for an intern who was sent on a mission to find the ice machine. The X marked the spot. So there was a reasonable explanation. Capitol Police let it go after that, but it doesn't matter. It's an opportunity for Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Republicans to exploit for their fear mongering about gazpacho.
To be fair, the Capitol Police statement did not write it as accurately as it should. Capitol Police officers dressed as construction workers went into the office. That's the part of the Nels story where I was like, here we go. They weren't dressed as construction workers.
Yeah, I'm not
okay,
either.
Or Native Americans or any other part of YMCA. Okay, so now look, normally I'd say, look, you're against the Capitol Police. They happen to come into your office and they happen to see a drawing that concerns them about Capitol Police. I'd say that's an interesting coincidence, right?
Yeah.
But these guys are lunatics. They have no credibility, right? So when they tell us that the construction workers saw their plans for raiding the vending machine, like maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know, right? It's nearly impossible to believe anything you guys say. And back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is her third reference to Democrats being Nazis. And before it was like wearing a mask is like the Jews wearing a star during the Holocaust. No, the Jews wearing stars then were put in the gas chambers and murdered. Okay, you wearing a mask is so that other people don't die. Anyways, you guys know that these guys have trouble with their mental stability. So if you want credibility, whether you're Nels or Greene, and for us to believe you on any story, you might try to be not so insane. And so if you tell us that there's Jewish space stations that create forest fires, it's hard to take you seriously when you tell us about the horrors of the gazpacho.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't like when we're laughing at her, which is quite often, to be sure. She wants us to laugh with her, so she tried to deflect by tweeting this later. No soup for those who illegally spy on members of Congress, but they will be thrown in the goulash.
See, that pisses me off because that's the joke I was gonna go with because she said gulag too.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, how about the gulag? And now when she takes it, I feel like, oh my God, my dad joke is that lame?
No, I actually thought that was well played, but I refuse to believe that she's the one who came up with it.
Okay, good. We refuse to believe that too, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Take that.
I'm skeptical. I mean, have you seen her try to formulate a sentence that makes sense?
Let alone a joke?
Yeah,
no.
come on. Yeah.
Okay, well, at least she had enough sense to have somebody help her with it. Trump would have been like, oh yeah, and I put it in the covfefe.
They call them dumps.
Massive dumps. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.